Hello. Hello, everyone. It's the Girls to Women conference. Thank you very much for those who are tuning in. It's our first virtual program. Uh, Not our first program. This is a virtual program that we've done because of COVID, and I'm hoping that you're gonna have a good time as we're having a good time. It's been a very, very hard time to be able to prepare this online so that we can be able to achieve what we want to achieve and to be able to reach as many people as we could to reach. So thank you very much for those who've been preparing. I have a bunch of girls, beautiful girls, who have been behind this mission in order for us to be able to bring it online. So I want to introduce to you what is Girls to Women and how it came up. So this has been something close to my heart. It's been something that I've been, I think, as I'm a mom, I would say I have been pregnant of it for so many months, so many years. And I'm so glad that I can bring it up to everybody, to the world, literally, because knowing that this is online, we know that we'll be able to see a lot of people coming in and knowing what we do. So Girls to Women came as something, as a calling that I felt in my heart, as a mother, as a woman, to be able to empower young girls, especially those who are growing, those who still finding their feet, girls who don't really feel as if they know their calling or they know who they are. I will say it a little bit as a story of mine as a young woman. I felt a lot of the time lost or misunderstood, or felt like I couldn't be myself because I needed always to be what other people wanted me to be. You know, my parents, people who I grew up with. It was always whatever I will bring myself up, I felt like no one could understand me as I felt like I wanted it to be understood. And that made me not become these young girls who enjoy life as I could have enjoyed it. And it made me feel as if when I look back now that I'm a grown woman and say, if I had somebody who have looked at me and saw that light or that thing that was in me and encouraged me to be able to be myself, it could have been easier or it could have been better. I'm not saying this to regret how I grew up, but I say it to say that this is what has made me feel like Girls to Women it's a mission that has to come to life. So having said that, I know that I'm not going to be able to achieve it by myself. I'm not going to be able to empower girls or women by myself. That's why I'm here with someone who's going to share with you what she has as a specialty, but as a woman who have walked the walk and who have achieved what she has achieved. She's going to tell you who she is, and I'm sure that today's topic, which is emotional intelligence, will be able to give you, as a young girl, if you are watching, give you some tools to be able to navigate life a little bit easier. So we want to make it easier for girls to be able to navigate life, but we want to make it easier for women to be able to understand girls who still navigating their lives. So if you're still navigating your life and you're girls, we are hoping and we are believing that there is women who are coming into our community to be able to empower you, to be able to love on you, to be able to be patient with you. How about that? Being patient with you. We need to be patient with our girls. So many times we kind of push on them. We kind of say, you need to achieve this. Not only us, but even the social media, which is really prominent now, is pushing them to become things that they shouldn't become or they should never become. So how about us human women who have walked the walk, who have seen the walk of life, who can come and tell them, listen, we're here to support you, we're here to love on you, and we're here to listen to you. What are you bringing on the table? What do you like to do? What is your passion? And be able to give them the same grace that we've been given to be able to grow maturely. And I believe without a doubt that if this happen organically, we will be able to have girls with more self-esteem, more loving heart, because the way we've been created, we have natural love in us. We nurture everything that we touch. And I'm sure that if we can empower girls to do that, they will be able to touch others. And this will become a revolution. This will become a movement. Some of my girlfriends told me, thank you for creating a movement. And I'm saying thank you to them for allowing me to create this movement, because there is no movement by myself. I'm not going to be able to do it by myself. I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to do it for you. And I'm going to do it for the girls who have been unheard, for the girls who have been not able to speak for themselves. We're going to do this. Not only for the girls who are in leadership, who can speak better than others, but we're going to do it even for those who cannot speak well. We're going to do for those who have a lot of issues because of how they grew up. We're going to speak for those girls who are in places that they cannot achieve exactly as they should achieve. We're going to do it for the girls who are uneducated, who have never gone to school, but have this dream of becoming someone. So this is a movement, and it's movement that is going to touch many, I believe. And let's do this. So we are calling upon women who wear a lot of hats, who can do, who have achieved a lot, or those who have speciality of their own. We're calling upon them to come and help this movement go forward. So Girls to Women have been here since January. I think in January we launched, and we have a little meeting, around 20 people on a table, and we have 2 girls who have done amazing in their life, came to empower others. But COVID came and we couldn't go forward. And we thought, how are we going to do this? Because the call was still there. And even now with COVID, a lot of mental issues are rising in girls. And we couldn't just stay here and look at it as if it was going to be someone else's issue, that someone else was going to pick this up, because we believed in our hearts that this is a calling for this time. So this is why we have come here on all the platforms. We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram. If you have a girl that you want her to enhance her EI as emotional intelligence, call on her for her to connect so that we can have a good time together. I'm going to give you a lot of information a little bit later, but for the moment, I want to introduce my guest, our guest of today. She is Dr. Marion. Before we bring her on air, or maybe we can bring her on air, I want just to talk a little bit about her and our relationship, if I can be allowed, and to say how I know her, how she came into my life, but I kind of knew her a little bit. I think now it's like 7 years. It's been a long time that we know each other. She has an amazing kind of knowledge that she's going to share with us today. But she is my mentor. She is someone that I look up to. And I believe this is what Girls to Women is. We need to have people we relate to and that we can look up to, and for them to be in our lives so that they can enhance everything that we have as a gift. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Marion. If she's there and can hear me, please. Yes, she's there. She can hear me.
Can you hear me all right, Liliane?
Yes, I can hear you really well.
Oh, excellent.
Welcome, welcome.
Oh,
It's so nice to have you with us, and it's so nice to for you to be part of Girls to Women. It is a blessing. That's how I'm gonna call it, because today not only I'm introducing you to the world, but they're going to learn more and much more from what I've learned from you, reading your books, uh, reading what you've been able to put down as knowledge has been tremendous help in my life. And today you're going to, in 40 minutes, I don't even know if that's enough, but you're going to be able to share that with the world, to share with the girls that are watching, women that are watching today. And I'm sure there is even men who have sneaked in to watch as well. We welcome them and we love on them as well. So yes, Dr. Marian, can you please introduce yourself? Because I don't want to introduce you. I don't wanna not
yeah,
say the right thing. So please
yes,
introduce
of
yourself.
course. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, it's such a privilege to do this. I'm just really feel quite overwhelmed because obviously we've all been in this huge international pandemic and things have literally turned the whole world upside down. And so doing this online in this forum is truly amazing, Liliane. Your girls, I just need to give them a shout out that they're doing this, that they've managed this, and it's the new way forward. And I'm all on board. It's super scary, as in super kind of anything new that sort of jugs us or makes us jump out of track of our normal track kind of
Yeah.
wants to intimidate us, doesn't it? So just new for me to be sitting out here. I normally love to see faces and people that I'm talking to, but I'm good with this. I love the vision. My background, I have to tell you, is the international woman because my parents immigrated from Holland to South Africa. So I have Dutch parents. I'm South African. I've got English kids. I've got an Irish daughter-in-law. My sister lives in Miami. So I've even been to Siberia. I've done a whole bunch of women's conferences in Siberia. So I'm quite at home with the international women. I love the fact that that's the heartbeat of what we're doing. Any woman, any culture, any race, any color, any age. It's girls to women right across the board. And you said something quite interesting. You were like, um, are you still navigating your life? Well, I mean, I'm way at the end of my 50s, and I think we're all still navigating our lives, to be honest. I think to be really real. And there's a whole bunch of what I'm going to be talking about today that really is going to hopefully help every lady of every age in any sort of season that's in their life. So just really, really quickly, I qualified 35 years ago as a social worker in South Africa. I worked as a social worker basically on the front line, I think we would call it now, in the middle of Johannesburg for 10 years, came over here and pastored churches. I wrote it down so it would be really succinct, pastored, running churches in the UK, wrote the 2 books, preached, taught groups of women across the country, helped set up a national women's ministry, got an honorary doctorate in the meantime from America, got ordained, resigned, went back to social work. So that was kind of quickly put. And as you can see, for me, if you want to know my heartbeat, it really is this somehow that's what I believe God has done in my life. He's interwoven my professional life and qualification as a social worker with my spiritual gift in ministry. So I've just finished an MSc in advanced professional practice with children and families, really, and really enjoyed that. So currently I'm working frontline as a child protection children's social worker. And it is certainly one of the hardest jobs in the world. I know most. It can be one of the best, but it's where I find myself at the moment and where the Lord's got me. So, and I have to finish with this final bit. My best and greatest accomplishment, I have to say, are 2 things that are called Grace Ann and Gregory. They are my beginning and the end of my world. They are my greatest accomplishment, will always be. My obviously Olivia is my daughter-in-law, but I don't see her as my accomplishment because kind of I didn't do much with her. She's just wonderful all by herself. And then I've got a little Theodore who is my grandson, and of course also I see he's the product of my kids and he's a wonderful, amazing cream on the crop. So that's kind of me. Is that okay, Liliane?
It is perfect. I think you summed. I couldn't have introduced you this way. That's why I hold myself up and I say you are going to introduce yourself. And I'm so happy that you've done
I
it.
like that, because then you can kind of get a sense of a little bit of who I am, especially with this kind of distance, So this multimedia, what's it called, internet distance. So emotional intelligence. I mean, I could say my journey started 35 years ago. It's really what I guess I went into social work. I literally went in and I found me. I literally was blessed, like at age 21, to find a route or a career that was me up and down, completely, utterly. I did psychology as well at university, but the social work was absolutely me. And then, so that was 35 years ago, and I've explained, all the sorts of things that I've done. But I guess it was about 23 years ago when I was mentoring a young single mom in my church at the time. So love mentoring. Liliane's mentioned that, another heartbeat of mine. And so I was mentoring this young single mom, and she had just got into a new relationship, also in the church. And on the outset, or from the outset, on the outside, this man looked really good, really good job, just bought his own house, really intelligent, just got his master's, working, I think, at the university. But as we got to know him, oh my goodness, there was manipulation, there was control, there was failed relationships, and all of a sudden it was a kind of awakening at that point for me, that there was a real big divide between an IQ, which is an intellectual, I think the actual word is intellectual quotient. So your IQ versus your EQ. So that man, literally, his IQ probably would have been sky high. His EQ, what I rated at that point, would have probably been, the understanding around boundaries and control. And so I think that was a real starting point for me. And I've spent the last years of my life passionate about learning more than I could possibly, in everything that I could learn. If I had to sum it up, because I'm also going to be really aware of time, if I could sum it up, I would say emotional intelligence is wisdom. It's as profound or as simple as that. I could give you 100 academic definitions. I'm not going to bore anybody with those, but it's really it's your inner world. It's your skills that you have. As part of my dissertation that I've just finished, I spoke about the whole dissertation again on emotional, it was called Emotional Resiliency, of the practitioners that I'm dealing with and their intent to leave or remain or stay in their job role, and how an emotionally intelligent organization can affect that. So that was the dissertation. But I would really say it's about all, and part of that dissertation I spoke about your intra skills, personal skills, and your inter. Those are the skills that you have, that you can access resources outside of yourself to help with you with your emotional resilience. So, but I would say above all, clearly, in all you're getting, get wisdom. It is the principal thing of our lives, no matter what age. And it's not about age, because I have found some very young people who are wise and astute, and I can see they've got self-insight, they understand themselves, they have got a voice. And I've seen ladies, unfortunately, much, much older, that part of their life is really sadly missing. So EQ is about learning. I mean, I have to add in Proverbs, and two of my favorite scriptures is happy, blessed, fortunate, to be admired are the person who finds wisdom, a person who gains understanding and insight. All right. For wisdom's profit is better than the profit of silver and gold, and it's his rubies. And nothing you can wish for can compare with or be in comparison with this wisdom. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are highways of pleasantness and favor, and all her paths are peace. If we want to live in this, she is the tree of life to those who hold her, and happy, blessed, considered to be fortunate and to be admired is anyone and everyone who holds on to her tightly. So, I mean, I literally could not have put it any, and I think that's why I've had a lifetime of pursuit of wisdom, of I could say of emotional intelligence, because the more we understand ourselves, the more we understand how human behavior, the more we understand all of these things, we get the value that the Bible says that we get. We find this peace, we find this joy, we to be admired, we find a tree of life. So the good news, let me tell you one of the good news, because we've got quite a few good news. So one of the good news is that emotional intelligence can be increased. A lot of people think that you're born with it, or you kind of blessed with it, or because you had a great family, you've got it. No, no, no. Emotional intelligence is a skill. It is a learned skill. It is enhanced. It is developed. You can learn it and grow it in your life. And it depends on how hungry you are for it and how much you value it, really. So, and I'm going to use the example of driving, because driving is really, if anybody's learned to drive, it's you get in the car, you start, and you've got to like do all these crazy things. You've got the gears, and you've got the steering wheel, and you've got cars coming at you. It's so awkward, and it's so stressful, and it feels so inauthentic. It's like you will never get this. You think, I'll never learn this. And sometimes you can even try and give up, because you think, I'm never going to get this. And then you think, okay, no, I will get this. I know, come on. And people encourage you, encourage yourself. You get on with it. And eventually it becomes less stressful, easier. It feels more normal. It starts off, this is completely abnormal. This is not me. But it's a skill you're learning. And eventually it becomes so automatic that you jump in the car. I mean, I jump in the car, I don't even think what I'm doing. And I love my driving. So that's the same with a lot of the skills that you learn. If you've learned bad patterns and bad ways of thinking and seeing things and understanding things, you've got to almost unlearn them. You've got to you've got to push through that stress. You've got to push through that awkwardness of, this feels so weird. This is not me. I don't get this. Am I ever going to get this? You've got to push through. You'll get it. Okay. You can learn it. So we're going to learn a new skill today. I kind of ummed and ahed about how we would do this, because emotional intelligence is such a huge subject. I've written 2 books on it, and certainly that probably is still the tip of the iceberg. Liliane's going to talk about the books at the end, and she'll tell you all about them. But so, and I thought, I thought, you know what I could do? We could talk about emotional intelligence if it were a car, and I could show you how it works, and we could touch the bonnet, and we could, sit in the seats, and we could all say, this is so fabulous. I'd love to learn it. And that would be it, because it took all our time up. Or I could put you in the driver's seat, and I could say, okay, we're going to learn how to drive today. Okay. We're going to learn one skill which is, can I just say, it is, for me, one of the cornerstones to emotional intelligence. And that's why I'm going to, I thought it'd be a really good one to start with. We're gonna put our hands on the steering wheel, and we're gonna learn it today. And it is unconditional. Let me ask you a question. Who wants to learn the skill? No matter where you are, in what season of your life, want to learn the skill of unconditional self-acceptance. Okay, unconditional self-acceptance. Where's my finger? There are my fingers.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Both hands, both fingers. Okay, unconditional self-acceptance. So a lot of the time, especially when I started learning these things and reading up, which is now like years and years and years ago, it would all be about self-esteem and how to boost your self-esteem and how to boost your self-confidence and how to feel good about yourself and how to accept yourself, and especially now, all right, I feel like it's since we've got onto iPhones and social media platforms, the whole world is geared to that kind of judging. Let me put this whole world of judgment and ratings. Review everything, and I'm not saying it's all bad. We review everything, but everything is based on likes and dislikes. Whether we get so many people even on this, well, then we've obviously done a good job, or we think we've done a good job, or anything you and I do. And I think even for that younger generation coming up, it is even more literally flooded with the idea of this, not just in talking to people or falling out with a friend at school, but the likes and the dislikes of the world that we live in is huge. So if I feel good, I am good. Or if I'm liked, then if I'm liked, I feel good. If I feel good, then I do good. If I'm not liked, then I'm not good, and I don't feel good, and I don't do good. It's this completely close linking. It is so closely linked. I cannot even begin to tell you how closely it is linked to all our emotions, all our moods, and our moods affecting the way we live, the way we think, the way we act, the way we behave. It is so interconnected. There's such a small, close link between these emotions and depression and anxiety. Now, in my role, as you can imagine, I'm dealing with people with constant depression, anxiety. It is a pandemic in itself. It's an epidemic, anxiety and depression, all right? So, and let me introduce you to a very something you will recognize. You go, yeah, me. A constant companion in our heads is we all have this constant companion in our heads, and he's called the critic. Unfortunately, he's a very much of a bully. I shouldn't call him a he. It is a bully. We'll call him a it. Okay, it is a bully. It is this constant, relentless berating you at every turn, at everything you do, wherever you go. It is, it's discouraging. It will put you, so no matter what you do, and then of course you're getting it from the outside as well. Well, we like you, well, we don't like you, but inwardly, your enemy has become your enemy. Right? That enemy, that berating, that constant, it's I want to say it's a pathological critic, because it's relentless and it's harsh and it's unforgiving. So constantly telling you, and if I had to put a few people out, if I had to put you out in front, I mean, it's super sad and it's super upsetting sometimes, because you'll put this awesome lady in front of you and you'll say, okay, just describe yourself. What do you think of yourself? And they start to describe themselves in terms that you cannot even relate to. They're stupid, they're ugly, they're no good, they're worthless, they're useless. And even if that critic or that voice subsides in them, they'll do something, you and I will do something that triggers that voice again. So all of a sudden that voice comes back up. Let's say we fail or we mess up or we, I mean, it is a constant, unfortunately, that voice needs to, it doesn't just come and go. It actually hangs around, depending on your mental health, depending on your emotional intelligence, depending on how you've got these skills down. That voice sort of sits in the background. Even me, and I can tell you for sure, Liliane, we'll do something, walk around, and we're doing so good. We feel so good about ourselves. And then all of a sudden we mess up something. We either, lose our temper or rip a child's head off, or because they've just frustrated us and we've lost, we just got frustrated. Or, maybe I've done something online like this, or I've written a report, or I've done something and I feel I've let myself down. Okay. And that berating that comes, that critic, that voice is just, it's not the devil. Let me tell you, guys, it's not the devil. The devil he's on holiday. All right. Because he can just sit back and he can let your critic, your pathological, dysfunctional critic kick in and have a field day with you. All right. So we're going to do a little exercise quickly. So I've asked Liliane to have a pen and paper. If you've got a pen and paper, great. If you haven't, it's best on paper. Oh, well done. Okay, Liliane, if you put 1 to 100, just draw a long line. And there's 1 to 100. Now, don't let anybody see your piece of paper, but that's fine because we can't see yours, which is great. So 1 is useless and 100 is fantastic. So 1 is I'm being useless and 100 I'm being fantastic. Okay, so rate yourself. On that scale, where would you put yourself? Don't tell me, Liliane, because then we'll have to get into like and we might have some questions and answers. Okay, so number 1, rate yourself. Number 2, where would other people rate you? Where do you think on your scale from 1 to 100, where it's a hard one, where would other people rate you? Don't tell me, just write it down on your piece of paper. Okay, just put a line there, or, you can almost estimate. Okay, now imagine you've just been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Okay, where would you put yourself on that scale? Liliane's just done a big sigh. I think everybody's probably done a big sigh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just
yeah. So now, finally, 4th final question. Where do you think, where would you rate where others would rate you when they found out that you had been diagnosed? Okay. So we're not really going to go into too much. If we had more time, and so we do get people that rate themselves really almost like right up the front, right up at fantastic, which is quite hard because that's really difficult because, they're really setting a high standard. And what happens if they don't reach that like 99 fantastic? And then we get other people that rate themselves really, really low, and that's really difficult and worrying as well. Usually what happens is the majority of people rate themselves quite in between the sort of middle part of the scale, sort of low to high. And then when circumstances change, the majority of people, that drops, right? So I did this myself and it kind of drops. And then if you say, well, where would you people, when people found out that you've got depression, anxiety, for me, that was also what people would drop, that sort of opinion of me would drop. Okay, so we done that. Can I just tell you the trap? And I did exactly the same thing and fell into the same trap. Okay, because we've done this exercise, and I just want to get this right. We literally do this with ourselves every day in a much less conscious way. We rate ourselves. Okay, just subconsciously, unconsciously, automatically, we rate ourselves. But I need to ask you one question, and this is life-changing. All right, this is bedrock. This is cornerstone. On what grounds did you rate yourself? What credible, scientific, psychologically valid, recognized scale did you rate yourself? I gave you a line, a pen and a pencil. And can I just say, nowhere spiritually in any of my fields, in any of my research, in any of my reading, and I can challenge you if you feel I'm wrong, that you will ever find a valid rating where we can or are able to rate ourselves as human beings. Kaboom. Okay. No such scale exists. No such scale exists. There isn't one. Not secular, spiritual, in any forum can we rate ourselves as human beings, or can we judge or rate or value another human being? So if I had to say to you, I'd give you even a harder exercise, put 5 of your friends up there and now rate them. Oh my goodness, you just go, oh, I would never be able to do that. No, rate them, value them as human beings. And you go, Marion, that's impossible. Of course that's impossible. And it seems sort of clearer when we do it that way. Then why is it that we do it constantly, naturally, almost repetitively in all different areas of our lives? Do we rate ourselves as human beings? Okay? We are the reason there is no such scale. Can I give you another and I know you know this, but the reason there is no such scale is that we are incredibly complex, unique, incredibly, uniquely, wonderfully made human beings. There can be no scale for us. The iris of our eyes, the fingertips of our fingers are unique. There is no one like you and me. There can be no way to evaluate or rate a human being. We can't say, well, I'm a woman, so I have a better value or rating than a man, or because I'm older, I have less rating than a child, or because I'm this culture, this race, this color, this background, this size, shape, form, anything. Do I have a better or a less value than you, right? And you than me. There is no way. You can't even say, I know we obviously children we hold dear, but and they're deeper, but if we just sticking to rating people as a human being, there is no scale, there is no measuring tool to rate or measure a human being. All right. So I'm going to lead you on to something really exciting. So as part of Girls to Women, because we're launching on this forum, we're starting a Girls to Women club. It's very unique, and well, it's not very unique. It is inaugural, and it's exclusive. And there are 3 conditions. Let me get my 3 little fingers up. 3 conditions to our club. Okay. Number 1, we are not allowed to rate ourselves as human beings. Ouch. Okay. This is going to be an incredible club. Come on, girls. You can do this with me. Number 1, you are not part of this club from today onwards. Okay. Today it's happening. This inaugural club is starting today. Number 1 condition, you are not allowed to rate yourself as a human being again. Number 2, we are not allowed to accept others' rating of us as a human being. Ouch. Okay, number 3, only 3 conditions, 3 criteria to belong to this club. We can only rate our behavior, which includes our skills, but not ourselves. Now I'm going to explain that. Okay. Number 1, you're not allowed to rate yourself as a human being. You're not allowed others to rate you as a human being. And number 3, you're only allowed to rate your behavior and your skills, but not yourself. Okay. So today you have to accept there's no valid, acceptable scale out there that can rate human behavior ever again. All right. But I can accept responsibility for my behavior, and others can challenge me for my behavior, but not as a human being. So this is, like I say, this is going to be, it sounds so profoundly simple. It's like, well, why haven't we got it before now? Why has this been so difficult to get? Because there are some key elements, and I'm going to share 1 or 2. Okay. So we all mess up. We're all fallible. We none of us are infallible. We're all going to mess up. Yeah. If we set ourselves up that we're never going to fail or never get it right, or we're going to lose our tempers, or we're going to sin, or we're going to, whatever language you want to put it in, we're going to mess up, right? So we have to accept. However, we accept ourselves without condition whilst remaining free to challenge our behavior.
Can you say that again?
So we must learn to accept ourselves without conditions while remaining free to rate and challenge our behavior. All right. Clear divide. We are now dividing the Red Sea from the who to the do. The who is your self-worth. Mm-hmm. It's unchallengeable. It's unrateable. Your self-worth is set. It's immeasurable. Psalm 139 tells me that you are, without doubt, immeasurably, wonderfully, intricately, uniquely made. All right. So from today, we separate our do from our who from our do. Our behaviors and our skills is where we mess up. And I'm going to come to this, hang on a sec. So let me just explain a little bit about the emotional intelligence. If we sit in our car and the red light of a dashboard is coming on, we go, well, let me just change the light bulb because this little red light's shining. We change the little red light bulb, it's going to keep shining, because the problem is not the little red light bulb. The problem is on the dashboard. It's showing you that there's a problem in your engine. So that is the key to understanding. A lot of the time we deal with all this emotion at the top. We deal with anxiety and depression. We deal with feeling overwhelmed, and the depression just leads on to being discouraged or low or frustrated, and we've got all of these emotions, but we need to dig a little bit deeper. The issue is in the engine, right? So and part of that engine is not rating yourself as a human being anymore from today. You're in the club, right? So, and again, remember my analogy for driving. It's going to take some practice. It's not the longer, the stronger. So the older you are often, or depending on what kind of trauma you've been through, because again, I deal with that on a daily basis. We all go through a lot of trauma, and trauma has a real uncanny way of staying hidden. It's like literally a hidden landmine. If Africa and certain countries in the world have been torn up by landmines. They literally emotional landmines within us, and they trigger. The problem with those triggers is obviously it evokes all this emotion, which results into all of this behavior. And then when I see all of this behavior and I've just acted out or reacted, what I start doing, I start that inner critic. Remember, no devil. The devil's on holiday. He's sunning himself in Florida. He's just happy that bully within our head starts. Well, look what you did. You're just worthless. Look, you've just found evidence to prove how worthless you are, how ridiculous you are. You're just a loser because look what you've done. You've just messed everything up again. You've just blown it all away. All right. Inner critic, fallen into rating yourself as a human being. So we're going to practice this a little bit. Don't ever underestimate this little critic, okay, our little bully, because it's like, let me tell you, it's like having a best or a good friend phoning you up every day and saying, you're useless, you're worthless, you're hopeless. And eventually you get to believe, and it literally becomes part of our makeup. It becomes who we are. And so the unlearning, remember getting in that driver's seat, I can't do this, this is not me, that's what you're backpedaling and you're trying to unlearn, okay? So let me tell you another key with emotional intelligence and learning the skill of unconditional self-acceptance. The emotional brain is more powerful than the logical part of your brain, the logical, rational part of your brain in your head. Wow. Okay, I'll say that again. So your emotional brain inside your head, so inside your head, is more powerful than your rational, logical side of your brain. So you have to get the fight out of your head onto even ground, on even playing fields, which is paper and people. Okay, so the minute you take it out of your head and you share it with a friend, I'm going to be mostly talking about putting it down on paper. Okay, you've got an even playing field here now, because you can challenge something that's on paper. So the minute you get that automatic unconscious rating that you hear yourself, something happens, you do something happens, all right? You fail at something, you do something, and then all of it, before you blink, there's that thought, you're just worthless. Look, you've just failed again. Write it down. There and then, grab a piece of paper, write it down if you can. Paper's great. I know you've got your phone, guys, and I know that's the world we're in, but there's something amazing about it, just a notebook and writing it down on it. Write down the thought. When you've got time, sit and challenge, okay? What you're going to do. So the thoughts come, I'm useless. I'm just useless. Look what I've done. I can't even do anything. I'm just useless. So number one, you're going to dispute it. You're going to challenge it on the paper. You're going to say, what does this statement actually mean in practice? All right. Am I useless at everything just because I can't work the computer? Am I useless? Can I, or in fact, any human being, be defined as useless or no value? So we go back to our rating. Is this another attempt to rate myself? Yes, basically. All right. Then we've got to bring our rules of our club up. We got to bring what we've got down on paper, because we challenge it out of our heads. Remember, that's where we're losing the battle. We've taken this battle. This critic is really strong. It's been there a long time. He knows his way around. He knows what to say. And before we know it, he's just railroaded us. Our emotions have just dived now. We were feeling really good. We were doing good. And now our emotions have just dived. And before we know it, we're under those covers, or we just, whatever destructive coping skill you've got onto, okay, you're there. But blink, ABC blink, and you're there. All right, so you've taken the game out of your head, you've put it on paper, now you're challenging it, and you bring up your 3 rules from the club. Remember, Girls to Women Club. Number 1, there's no rating. You're not allowed to rate yourself as a human being. Rule number 2, you're not allowed others to rate you. If someone's called you useless or worthless or hopeless or a loser, okay? Number 3, we can rate our behavior, including our skills. Okay, so let me just give you a nice, easy example, because this is quite so if I've gone on the computer and I just can't get anything up, usually I phone my son. He's really super clever on the computer. He's learned artificial intelligence. He's, okay, Greg, I can't do this. This is just, and I go on, okay. So I have to understand, I'm not allowed to rate myself as a human being. Can I rate my skills on the computer? Yes. I need some techno lessons. Can I rate my behavior, especially if I've acted out? If I've sworn at someone or been moody or been unloving, can I rate that behavior? Yes. I can say to myself, Marion, you really did. That is unacceptable behavior, right? Does not mean I've rated myself as a human being. Difference. Do and the who. All right, we've separated out. If I say to myself, I'm a useless mother or daughter or granddaughter or aunt or friend, okay, so the critic jumps on board, okay, and has a field day. What a failure you are. I write it down. I look at this. Is this another rating as a person? Yes. I'm not worthless. I'm not useless. There's no such scale exists. I'm I'm complex. I am amazing. I'm unique. All right, as a person, let me look at my behavior. Did I keep my temper? Was I kind? Was I patient? Was I loving? Well, I just ripped the kids' heads off because the computer wouldn't work. Okay, so what am I rating there? I'm taking responsibility, guys. Okay, girls, I'm taking responsibility, because this doesn't let us off the hook. In fact, it frees us up hugely to take responsibility for the things we should be taking responsibility for. Our behavior. We've separated out. In fact, it's so freeing. The more you do this, the more so let's say life comes at you and life knocks you sideways, and all of a sudden now something has gone wrong. If you're rating yourself as a human being, the problem with those emotions is that they plummet into despair, discouragement, depression. And all of the skills I need to help me out of this crisis have now been, it's like someone has pulled the rug right out of under me, and I'm hopeless. I'm just, I can't do anything. Instead of, you keep that unconditional self-acceptance, that unconditional self-worth, that value as a human being. I cannot be rated. I'm immeasurable. But it frees me up to then deal with what I really need to deal with, the adversity. I need to look at what I need to change, what I need to do. So for example, the other example, keeping an eye on the time. I get to work, or I can't talk up. And so every time I don't talk up to my boss, to my colleague who's just bullying me, or my husband who's bullying me, or someone, that critic, oh my goodness, he's happy now. He's having a party because he's going, look, you're just a coward. You're just a loser. You can't say anything or do anything. You're just useless. You're just a failure. You are abnormal. So what have I just done? That critic, I take it out onto the paper. I write it down. I challenge it with my club rules. Is this a rating? Yes, this is a rating. Okay, I'm not useless. I'm not worthless. I have immeasurable value as a human being. Now let me rate what I need to do about this situation. Do I need to sit with someone and look at assertiveness training? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. I need to learn self-discipline. Maybe I need to control the tongue. Maybe that my tongue is my problem and I've spoken out of turn. I've been harsh or critical with someone else. Maybe I'm unloving. So what skill? Maybe it's as a mother, I've ripped their heads off. Maybe as a mother, I am not useless. But as a mother, I mean, again, daily I'm dealing with this. You can upskill in any of these things and accept responsibility that is the area that you need to deal with. I think the problem is when we feel so low and we failed our kids, it's almost like we give up. See the power of that absolute defeatism. Because now, look, I'm just worthless. And now I haven't accepted any responsibility. I'm just a victim. So the devil wins both ways, every which way. I've just given up. I feel completely defeated, deflated. And somehow, eventually, over time, I drag myself on and I drag myself up and I try and fix, but I don't change anything until the next thing, hits me sideways. Okay. So let me finish up because we're doing good for time. The one of the most powerful little prayers, and I think I need to find where it came from. I think it's an old English prayer, the Serenity Prayer. It's been around for a long time. Lord, give me the serenity, which is the peace, to accept the things I cannot change. All right. The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right. Very super powerful, connected to emotional intelligence. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can change. There's a whole lot of skills that I need to learn. There's a whole bunch of, but unconditional self-acceptance. If you will do some of these tools that I've told you today, if you will join the club, don't rate yourself. Don't allow others to rate you. Only rate your behavior and your skills. Separate the two. Take it out of your head into a even playing field. Write it on a piece of paper. Talk with someone if you have to, and say, does this look like I'm rating myself as a human being? Yes. Okay, that's unacceptable. What do I need to look at? My behavior or my skills? Do I need to improve my assertiveness? Do I have to improve my ability to find my voice and speak up? Do I need to improve my boundaries and say no? So these are the bits I can change. These are the bits I do need to grow. Remember, the good news, we can grow our emotional intelligence. We can grow this. It doesn't take years and years and years. And I mean, I've done a long journey and I've loved every part of it, but it just takes determination. It takes, when I read to you Proverbs, if any of that goes, I want that life. I want something so precious that I have pleasantness and favor. I have peace. I have a tree of life. Amen. And you're to be considered fortunate, admired, happy, blessed when you find wisdom, because this, girls, is just wisdom. Is bottom line in wisdom. So, I mean, the good news is that the whole human race should be in this club. They don't always join because they kind of don't know that it's there, but every human being is in this club, the unconditional self-acceptance. Okay. And there is a bit of a fight because irrational beliefs are very strong. All right. Your irrational belief, let me tell you how strong it is. It will look for evidence that it's right and completely negate any bit of evidence that it's wrong. So if the belief, and your critic has been telling you for years, you're worthless and you're useless and you can't do anything, and look, you shouldn't have been born. So someone will fall out with you. Now, perhaps we all fall out with people, but now Your critics just found you evidence. Instead of so the one person's fallen out with you, but 10 people have been, just love you and think you're amazing and you've got this great friendship with them, but you'll completely ignore 10 people and all this evidence because your irrational belief about yourself, because you've been rating yourself for years, you've been scaling yourself, you fell in the trap of putting yourself on that scale. Can I tell you the other incredible value of this is, I've had that where life kind of knocks you sideways. Something comes out, and a lot of things you don't think you put value in. So I love what I do, and I love my job, and when that kind of rips out from underneath you, all of a sudden, you can have a relationship change. All of a sudden, you feel worthless because that has changed. But it's such a freeing aspect, because if my value is not from my relationship, it's because my value is immeasurable, because my self-acceptance is unconditional. If my relationship breaks down, I don't plummet into despair, because all of a sudden now I've got no value. I've put myself way up the scale, not 80, 90 on the scale. But now, as let's say, as a wife or as a mother or as a friend, but this friend leaves me. Now what? All of a sudden I'm down at 30. No, there is no scale. There is no rating. And therefore, when someone does leave or something does change, you're not a victim to that. You don't have to go up and down and be like an emotional roller coaster. So I think I might need to finish with that one, because I think that's a good one. So we just have to get it on paper, speak to someone, get it out on that playing field, because that fight in your mind, you will keep losing it. Because it is the emotional brain, and it's scientific. We now can ECG and the whole brain, and we understand so much more about neuroplasticity than we've ever done. And so if you get it out on paper, that is really helpful. It's really key in that. Liliane.
I mean, I don't even know how I'm going to even be able to speak after this, because I've been writing and trying to understand what I've never known before, is that when you live like we are today, is that there is a lot of information coming and you want to retain them, but we're thinking about the next thing. And I think this is how life is at the moment. Is like we constantly never leave the present. We almost always living for the next. It's like, what next? What is coming next? How am I going to do next? And then we leave this space of the present to nobody. So no one is in control of the present. Myself, I'm living for the next. So I was just thinking of it as you were speaking. I'm like, Liliane, this is life, but you can go back to it and learn in a quiet time with no pressure. But again, I couldn't stop myself to say, what's next? Let me write it down, because I don't want to lose that. So, and this is life. And for me, this is why I'm just saying, I know that I'm registering, but I don't know for those who are online, we are registering for the Girls to Women Club. I'm in, and I'm going to be recording myself.
And put on the website, our new website that we're getting. We need to put the club up on the website, right? The 3 conditions, 3 criteria to belong to the Girls to Women website. So, yeah.
So we're gearing for that. The website is in the making, but in the meantime, we have all our platform working. So if you want to be in that club, and it's an exclusive club, Dr. Marion said it's an exclusive club. It's not, we are all VIPs in that club.
Right.
It's so refreshing, and I'm just hoping that there is girls who as young as 15, 16 who could listen to this and learn those tips. They're very simple. They are tips about scaling yourself. How do we scale yourself? And I know that I maybe be very passionate about girls who are growing, but I want to be intentional and say that there is women, grown-up women, who want to be in this club and want to learn how to scale themselves.
Yeah.
So if we have those women who can put their hand up as me and say that we haven't done everything right and we'll never get it right, but are we giving ourselves permission to be vulnerable enough and to say there are things that I've been beating myself for so many years that I'm going to just put it on a piece of paper and start rating myself in a way Dr. Marion just said. I'm so thankful you're here today. I'm just so refreshed, and I'm gonna be going to this video, I think, for the next month, learning slowly and carefully, and making sure that I'm going to be this woman who will give permission to young girls.
So Liliane, just to also say, because I know, and I'm so sorry, I'm not sure if Liliane's mentioned it, but all the questions that are coming, I'm so excited to answer all of those. Please, I'm not avoiding or what's the word, ignoring anybody. It's just, I thought, okay, if I literally just present it, and then Liliane's got an amazing program going, because we're going to have a Q&A. I mean, Q&A is one of my favorite times because we really get people's great questions. So just to say, Liliane, you know, keep all the questions coming, because we'll get to them.
I just wish that our camera could go to the other side and you can see the girls taking all the questions, making sure that they are writing them down, and that when we come back for the Q&A, so if you have a question, and that was my second thing that I was going to say, if you have a question, please write it down. We will be able to answer. We have almost like 30 to 30 minutes, I think, I guess we have put aside to be able to just interact with you, to answer your questions. And no question is stupid. Let me just say it. No question is stupid. You can say, oh, this question is just, no, I'm not just gonna write. No, put it out there, because we say today that we are going to come out and never scale ourselves. Don't scale your question, girls, women. Yeah. Whoever is watching, don't scale your question. Bring them in, let them answer them. And then I'm sure Dr. Marion will answer the question. I'm sure if I have a question that I feel like I can answer, I will answer it. And we can interact like that, because this is a new way of life. Yeah. With COVID, this is coming, it's becoming like the norm now, where we're going to be doing this thing like more often. So we're going to have a little break.
Lovely.
And I'm conscious of that, because I know you've been speaking for a while. You need to have a glass of water. You can have a little.
I'm going to quickly get a coffee. I love my coffees.
Yes, you can have coffee. I have a little cup of tea, and we'll come back in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and we are going to be answering all the questions. So I'm not telling you who are online to go. I'm saying we are going to come back. We're just giving ourselves permission to digest this knowledge that we've been given, and to write down our question, and to come back for an interactive Q&A, which gonna enable us to even go deeper into the emotional intelligence of ourselves as human beings, as women, as girls. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for those who have tuned in. Please don't go away. In 5 to 10 minutes, we are back to answer all your questions. Even to those questions that you haven't written yet, we will answer them all, and we'll be able to cater for you as we go. Thank you very much, and we see you in a moment. Can I read?
Hi, my name is Cynthia, and I enjoy taking walks by the beach. Yes, I'll be attending the Girls to Women event on the 28th of November at 2 p.m. It will be amazing, and I hope to see you there.
Hello, I'm Liliane, and I'm looking forward to the Girls to Women conference. I love my me time.
Hi guys, I'm Maya. Normally you see me doing something graphical or catching up on my thoughts. See ya!
Hi, I'm Kylie. I'm a secondary school teacher. I'm looking forward to the Girls to Women's conference so that I can help coach those who are moving up through the school, help them go on to be amazing women, whatever field that they choose, confidently, standing tall, and they can pass on the baton to the next ones.
Hi guys, I'm Tanya and I love dancing and I'm going to be at the Girls to Women's conference.
My name's Helen, I'm a student counsellor and I can't wait for the Girls to Women talk on the 28th.
So, first step, first record on your phone, drop it on the floor, leave it record, and then pick it up at surprise. As you've picked up your phone, record, hi, I'm Tanya, blah 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 blah, blah. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and drop. Pick up your phone, and you can stop. You can start recording after you've dropped your phone.
You're back. We finish our little break and the breather. I just want to ask people who are online if they hear us well, if the connection is okay, because I think just put your thumb up to tell us that you can hear us well, that you're getting the messages that we're sending you, that you're interacting with us. Please put your thumbs up. As Dr. Marian say, we cannot validate ourselves with the likes, but the only way we know that you are with us is when you put your thumbs up, and we can just we'll know that you are with us and you haven't left us. And thank you very much for those who haven't even left. I don't know if you went for your refreshment, but if you didn't, I did. I have a little bit of water, and I can see Dr. Marian has her coffee. Cheers. I think I'll take my bottle and give you a cheers. And I'll give cheers to everyone who's drinking. It's good to drink your water. Thank you very much, Dr. Mar. There is a lot of questions. I don't know if I'm going to say a lot of questions, but I will start with, can I have those questions? Because yes, thank you. But I think I'm going to be a little bit selfish because I'm on camera and I'm one hosting. I'm going to start with my questions.
Well done.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
I'm giving myself permission because I'm here, and I just want to know when the critics start, when the dot, when for a young girl, let's say as you grow, when is that clock of critics start to operate in your lives and interferes with your growth and everything else that's going on?
Liliane, I think it's very young. I think children can even have a sort of a critic, and I think it's the role of the parents to because obviously we're living in a world that is performance based. You know, for example, Johnny goes to school and little, you know, Susie goes to school and it's, you know, tests and ratings within her class and in her, you know, all sports are competitive and these are all good things.
Mm.
But just because little Susie fails maths test doesn't mean she's a failure. So parents have a really crucial role all the way from young, that their love is not conditional. In other words, when little Susie comes home and has got a great report, obviously she's worked for it, and there can be a reward system is it's not a bad thing, or is a healthy. However, if a child only relates time and attention and reward to I have done well, she will immediately connect the dots. That value and worth, her value and worth are only based in how well she does. In other words, she's loved if she does well, she's unloved if she doesn't. And I think it's a really difficult balance for parents, but unfortunately we get into lazy parenting. What I'd like to say is lazy parenting, and we just equate all of it. But you have to unequivocally tell your child from as young as you've got them that they're unconditionally loved. I mean, that's the Father's heart towards us, isn't it? No matter what they do, where they go, they are yours. That is the root. So I think if you've got a teenager or you're dealing with teenagers that are not yours, you've got to realize that they've already had several years in this world of likes. They're living, the whole platform where children, the whole social media platform is built on ratings. So it's sort of built into their lives. And I think, I mean, you could get simple teachings and simple ways of explaining to young girls your worth, trying to separate, just like what I've done now, but maybe simplified even more.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helps. Yeah.
It does. And for me, as you answering, I'm just thinking for a mom who have never had self-worth, or who have never been told, well done, who has lived a life of struggle and just surviving from now and then, and now she becomes a mother, and she have the girls and boys, and she doesn't know how to do it. And if there is one listening to us, how can we, I'm not saying reverse that, but how can we learn a better way of saying, I know I haven't done it right, but I've listened to this talk, and Dr. Marian was talking about emotional intelligence, and I'm going to try and start to learn these new ways of doing things so that my children can strive.
Liliane, can I just say the hugest part of my life, the greatest reward of learning emotional intelligence is for my kids. Everything. I mean, they'll often, if I have to discuss anything with my son and my daughter, I cannot, I mean, I know I'm bragging because they're my kids, but they are, you train your children in what you're learning. So the gems you get, that is the double, triple value. Not only are you setting yourself free to this life of less, you know, more peace and less criticism and constant harassment in your head, but you're actually passing it on. Everything you learn, you must pass on down to your children, because that's what I've had to do with, I've mentored, not just raised them. Children shouldn't just raise themselves in our home just because we feed them and house them and take them to school and clothe them. We need to mentor our children in emotional stuff. And just because we learned late, I mean, I look at my kids now and in their 20s and 30s now, and I think, oh my goodness, I don't know a fraction of what they know. And so you get the joy and the delight of seeing that in your kids, you know. that next generation. Train your kids, teach them, show them everything. Ask God. I used to ask God how I could teach my daughter, because when they become teenagers, of course, they don't want to hear everything you're saying, right? They don't always, they kind of know everything a little bit. And so you trust God and you kind of know your child. If you have got relationship, you will be able to, you cannot just think that you can come into your child's life from an instruction angle or as an instruction only viewpoint. They won't listen to you. Praise and play. I've often got that with, can I just throw that little gem in? Praise and play. If you're starting out with your, and you have to kind of fix a bit of a mother-daughter relationship, start with praise and play. Don't instruct, don't correct, don't try and change. Just do a lot of praise and play. Find things that you like about them that they've done. Even if it's, they smell good, they wash their hair in the bath, they came in with a smile from school, they got a pretty smile, anything. Praise and play. Give them your time. If you are not giving your child any of your time, why should they listen to anything you have to say? All you become is this voice, another critical voice. And how are they supposed to separate your voice out from all the other critical voices that will be in their lives? Do you know what I mean? All the other voices shouting at them for time and attention. So the way you separate your voice out with influence and empowering is you do a lot of the praise and play. You give your child time. That is valuing them. And then through that, you slowly weave in the instruction and the wisdom within that.
Wow. In the club, we will pray and play.
Yes.
So those who are coming in the Girls to Women Club, we won't critique, but we will praise and play.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So we have another question from Instagram, and this person have asked, what will be your comment on a society associating emotional intelligence with femininity and emotional caution, while comparing to the traditional IQ required by the society?
Okay, I mean, IQ is mostly an educational, so that's all the way through from schooling, primary, secondary. The IQ is what, I mean, I want to even challenge that. I went to the bit I want to challenge is that your IQ will get your child from preschool to a doctorate, let's say. I went to a nursery school, was really profound. My kids were small. I mean, you must understand they'll be 30 and 32 almost. But my son was about 3 and my daughter was about 5. And I went to listen to a psychologist who came to our nursery school. And he asked us that question, and he said, what will get your child through to university? And we were like, this and this and this. And he said, self-confidence. So I want to say, if your child has got your backing and your unconditional love and acceptance, I promise you, no matter what that child is gifted with or can do or what intelligence level, they will achieve far more than a really highly intelligent child, because they will believe they can do it because you've told them. And because you're the most important person in their life, you've told them that they can do it, and they will achieve it. Whether they can or can't, it's all about that self-efficacy, that self-belief that we lose along the way, because our critic, remember, the longer the stronger. So the longer that critic has had influence, the longer that bully has bullied you and got you to believe their way of thinking. Remember Eleanor Roosevelt, really famous president's wife, said the only thoughts that have power over you are the thoughts that you believe. In other words, it doesn't matter what other people say about you. It doesn't matter it's whatever comments or whatever statements are made. It's only those that you actually believe that have the power to change your life. So if you don't believe, that's why our second condition of our club is we don't allow other people to rate us as human beings. Remember? So key. So sorry to say that about, I haven't fully answered. So you know what I do with so often I do a lot of women's meetings, and we used to talk a lot more about emotional healing and wholeness. The guys used to kind of poo-poo it a little bit in the way they used to look a little bit down their nose at it, almost as if it was a woman's thing. We needed this emotional healing because, somehow we were more, I don't know, flawed, or we like to talk. Women like to talk. We talk to chat. So, but I used to interpret it or say to them, if I ever went to a bigger forum with male and females, I'd say this is EQ, and they understood IQ and EQ. So men understand that they kind of lose them on the emotional healing and wholeness thing, because they think that's, they're not a man if they need emotional healing. It's all those traditional sort of things that I've come across, those barriers. But if I start talking to them about EQ and IQ and about that man that I spoke to you that was dating that single mom of mine, fantastic job, a house, all the money, but really manipulative, controlling, three failed relationships. EQ, IQ, very intelligent, but -1 IQ. I mean, -1 EQ. So it's not a feminine. I find the EQ, IQ works for males very much so more. I don't know. I'm so sorry if I've answered that correct.
I think you have even more. So we the emotional intelligence at the moment is what is needed in this world that is kind of we're kind of losing the normality of life. So if we tune into that will help us to strive and to become better past people. And I think there is this African, and I will not go without saying it. If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And for me, if we start educating ourselves and we're educating our young girls, then we have this hope that the world can become better. We don't have to abide in what we are told that the world is becoming. So thank you very much. There is few more questions, and I'm aware that we have another visitor who's waiting backstage who want to come. So we're gonna be quick. So another I think this is from Facebook. Why are we always so hard on ourselves? That's the question. Why are we always so hard on ourselves?
I think that's that critic, that pathological critic and bully that's in our head, the relentless, it's on a loop. And unfortunately, like I said, I think we get schooled. Your little Susie or little Johnny come home and they've done well in a test. They get daddy for the first time. Daddy actually, pulls himself away from what his work or his TV or whatever his golf or whatever he's doing, and gives you attention. So we learn very quickly. I do well. I get loved. I feel good. I am good. So very quickly, our do and our who have intermeshed, and they've become one thing. My do is my who. In other words, and so I'm an absolute advocate of women's education, and my 2 degrees are 35 years apart. If anybody, I've just finished a master's at my age, but I just want us just to make sure that value, that unconditional acceptance and value is, whether you ever got a degree or didn't, you are just as priceless as anyone with or without a degree. So there's you're not gaining more value, you're gaining more skills. If you gain more skills, you could perhaps gain more influence and more monies because you're getting a better job, or you're gaining a job that you really love, rather than a job that you just have to kind of take whatever's going. So, but you're not gaining more value. You're not, there is no ways your value, if you want to be a better friend or a better mother, you can love the people in your life. I can give you gifts, and I can remember you, and I can text you, and I can send you a card. I'm investing in my friendships or my relationships. In other words, my interpersonal emotional intelligence skills are improving because people are falling out with me, and I don't know why. Well, it's just because maybe I'm rude or distant, or so my interpersonal emotional intelligence skills are improving. I've got better self-insight, but my value isn't changing. It is set. It is immeasurable. I can't rate it. And so again, we have to keep, because we are so we're always waiting for, that hard on ourselves thing. Saying about we're just waiting for the next thing. I think that's connected to value as well, Liliane, because the more I do, the busier I am, it's somehow the more value I've got. Do you mean when I'm doing nothing and I'm just sitting and or just chilling or in playing with my child, I have no value? You know, we equate, unfortunately, when you feel nothing and you've come from nothing, you've got to be even more careful from that trauma, what it does to you. You felt so inferior, so you do everything you can to get as much skills and as much education because you so hated feeling so inferior, like you were nothing, worthless. So now you get everything. You get money, you get a job. What do you become? You become arrogant. And you lord it over people. And that's why we have so much prejudice and so much hatred in this world, because somehow I have to lord it over someone, because the root of that is inferiority, because I feel worthless. So, so you must be careful that if you've come from nothing and it's to be, it's absolutely worth, I mean, like I say, I'm a living proof. I've kind of pulled myself through 4 years whilst working, but be careful it doesn't become something that you've now using to prop your own self-esteem up, because that's a myth. Self-esteem is a myth. We've got to blow that myth right out. You cannot increase your self-worth. It is set. It is immeasurable. So right now, if you increase your skills, your degrees, your education, your behavior, fantastic. But you're not increasing your worth. Yeah.
Oh.
I hope that's answered.
I'm just hoping that as we go, if there anybody who like me want this topic to come back, because I think we haven't even scratched the surface. I think I hope that COVID will be done and we can have people in a room with us, so we can kind of have that human connection. But I'm sure it's helping somebody. Michelle, our next guest, asked something, and she say, Dr. Marion, what do you think about emotional intelligence and social media pressure, especially for girls around 14 and 16?
Yeah. Michelle, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm dealing with it all the time. I think it is unprecedented. I think it's age 14 to 16, that's your last sort of 2-3 years at secondary school, and that environment, I'm in secondary schools all the time, and that environment is relentless. I do think that if we're dealing, if we have the privilege of being around any girl that age, whether it is daughters or our friends or through any network that we've got, I definitely think that we need to be, we're not going to change the social media pressure. Let's put it that way. Okay. That is almost not within our power to do. And we're not parents. We don't have that PR, that parental responsibility. So if I'm in homes with parents, I can give instructions around the internet and the Wi-Fi box. Parents not allowing, you would never in a million years allow certain people near your house, never mind in your child's bedroom alone. So why would you allow them on their phone alone at night in their bedrooms? I mean, that's just to throw that question right out there. So there are lots of little skills that parents can learn. The Wi-Fi box gets switched off at 8 o'clock and the family play together. Oh my goodness, what a novel idea. Play a game, play Uno, do something. Your child's world, you will find their behavior, not only if you invest that tiny bit of quality time into your child's life of that age, and for the first time almost remove this relentless barrage. Let's put it that way. You almost give them an out. They will kick and fuss like they do that age. They even have little tantrums, don't they? Oh, you're just the worst. But they will quickly, if you give them something fun, they will quickly, it's almost like you're giving them a reprieve, a break, a rest from this barrage. But then don't you be absent on your phone and go and do, I mean, I see it all the time. I'm thinking, parents, do you even understand how much your child is learning that everything else is more important to you than them. So if you give you the value that you would get if you're a parent, if you are around a 14 to 16-year-old, I think if you have any influence over their lives, just to constantly give those messages of unconditional self-acceptance. We can't rate ourselves. Yes, you know, someone can like or unlike you on Instagram. Someone can like your picture or like what you do, and be nasty. But it's, if we could teach them any lessons, whether we do it in small groups or one-to-one, about unconditional self-acceptance, I think that would be key. I think that will be life transforming for them.
I mean, this is something that we are hoping to create, and to create a space on Girls to Women, is to be able to impact, especially from a young age, girls to be able to become, to be able to navigate their teenagers' life, their younger women life, and even older women life, without having this interference and this rating system and this scale of thinking, trying to be as A, B, C, D as the world is telling us. So this is
quickly add, sorry, just because it's so key for us understanding these young girls' minds. I mean, we really know the brain so much more, and how much the brain affects the mind. And we understand that the brain is not fully formed till we're 25. So even the areas, yeah, absolutely. So the areas they've now proven scientifically that are in the age of this age, 14 to 16-year-olds, even this bracket, there are parts of their brains, for example, their ability to understand risk is so much less than ours, scientifically, brain function. So we even understand that at that toddler age, so developmentally when they're much younger, and then this developmental age, parts of your brain that you're not using gets pruned. So let's say you've learned to play the piano, but you haven't played it as a teenager. Your brain starts to prune stuff off it. So if you've got a teenager that's only focused and only on the device and only cut out every part of their lives, unfortunately, their world will get smaller and smaller and smaller. And their inability to manage risk is almost like it's dampened. It's compared to ours. So we're shouting at them, and we can't understand why they don't understand. Well, they don't have the brain that you have. So they need us to protect them. So, you know, it's all of these kind of things that, yeah, like Liliane, you've said, I'm sorry, we've literally touched the tip of the iceberg on a lot of these issues, haven't we?
We have. I think in as we grow, as we're going forward, we're gonna have this little session monthly. I was just going to say that. Then topics that are key like this will be coming up. Maybe we won't do it as we did today lives. We might do it on a Zoom, and we might broadcast it later, or I don't know, we might make it intimate as possible with the climate that is on at the moment. But you have just touched something that I will take for the rest of my life. If the brain doesn't develop until 25, then we maybe who are here and a bit older have so much work to do, because if we have 25 years of a girl or a development, then we cannot judge her when she's 17, 18, 19, 20 until she's 24. Actually, we can impact and we can enhance, and we can put all our strength into making sure that she's having the best of her life in those 25 years.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There is another question. How do you deal with being branded as angry woman when you try to explain yourself? How do you deal with being branded? I think this is a young girl who feels like when she wants to explain herself, she come up as being angry. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with this situation?
So key. I mean, I love that. I love that question, because when you start making changes in your life and you start growing, and you start becoming a little bit more assertive, and you find your voice, the people around you are going to be surprised, right? They're going to be like, oh my goodness, what's happened to you, this person? And they're going to misunderstand or misinterpret what you're doing and what you're saying. And sometimes if you've the difficulty is if you've never practiced the skill of having a voice and speaking up, and you don't quite, it's almost like you need to find that voice. It's not an instantaneous skill that you've like, oops, I wish you woke up one morning and you had the skill of being assertive. It's sometimes us ladies will take years and years and years and years of learning it. And I'm not saying that it has to take you that. Many of us have had to find the hard way. And what we're hoping through Girls to Women is to help you take a little bit of a shorter cut so that you don't have to take years and years and years to find your voice. But number one, first of all, this is not about everybody else. You're not doing this. You cannot make anyone else grow. You cannot change anyone. You know, I always used to say, Marion, you're not the savior. There's one Jesus. He has that job. Thank goodness. So you can't change anyone. You can't make them grow. You can't get them to remember our club. Number two, we will not accept anybody's others ratings of us. So when you're being assertive and you speak up, don't let it stop you. Perhaps sometimes when you squash down that voice quite a lot, you can sometimes tend to go from passive to aggressive. Okay. And you will learn. It's okay. In fact, it's better that you do that than just stay passive, 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 because you will end up imploding into depression and anxiety. And that's just the start of any other mental health issues. So starting to speak up, you might get it wrong the first few times. You might be a little bit too harsh or too blunt or too, you know, there is a way of putting across something, because assertiveness is speaking the truth in love. It's not just speaking the truth, all right? I'm not just being rude, okay? Because a lot of people say, well, I'm just telling you the truth. No, you're just being rude, okay? So there is a skill that comes with speaking, and you speak it in love. So you will learn sometimes, but rather do it and get it wrong than not do it at all. All right. So so I don't feel like you must always have to explain yourself. I mean, I think it depends on the relationships. So yes, you're not accountable to everybody to explain everything that you're doing. But if you want good relationships, sometimes it can help. So if you've got a really good friend and you've done some emotional growing and some changing, sometimes taking your friend aside and just saying, you know what, I'm on this journey. I'm going to be making some changes. I want to grow emotionally. I want to be a better friend. That's your motive. I want to be my worth doesn't change. I must catch my language. I want to learn better skills at communicating properly what I really mean, because sometimes I say something and it comes out all wrong, or I say the wrong thing that I don't really mean, or I get misunderstood. So you're going to be seeing me so you can explain to your friends, if they're important people. Other people at work, you know what, I mean, you could try, speaking up and having a voice does not mean that you offend everybody. Sometimes it might. And if you've done it nicely, you are not responsible for how they react. Let's put it that way. I am not responsible for anybody else's mood. We have to remember the courage to change the things we can change, the serenity to accept the things I cannot change anyone. I cannot change their mood. I cannot change how they accept my change. But I do know if you've been very passive and all of a sudden now you're not going to be put up with being bullied or walked over, those people will not really like your growth. But keep going and speak to someone, speak to a mentor on how to better do it, and they will just keep pushing you in the right direction.
And that is what we're creating, this that is the things that I mean is that we have this pool of women who have gone through this growth, and that will come and be patient enough, loving enough to be able to take on girls and to give them permission to not always get it right, but to be willing to learn to get it right.
Someone is holding you. There's safety in a mentor, because they're kind of holding you. There's that unconditional acceptance and love. And so you're holding them in their growth period, because it's scary, super scary. I mean, it's anything new will intimidate you, want to make you back down. And that critic will jump up. That bully in your head that's on that loop will say, you can't do this, forget it, you don't know what you're doing, why are you doing this? So someone that's mentoring you, encouraging you, will keep you going. Come on, you can drive this car. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you will get there, you know. So,
and we can even call it modeling, really, because mentoring is kind of, sometimes you look at your mentor and she's up there and she has achieved a lot, and you feel like you're a little inferior to that mentor, and you just look at her. But if it's modeling, is that you even trust that person, even when you get things wrong, to be able to not slap you or shame you, to say it's actually okay to make this leap of faith and get it wrong than to never even do it. So wisdom that have come out of this is immeasurable. I'm myself, sometimes I'm loose. My tongue is kind of going a little bit down because I'm like, what am I going to do? But I'm aware of the time, and I'm thinking we have Michelle waiting for us down backstage, and she's going to come up. Just to wrap up everything that we've done, and to make sure, because she's amazing. So we created this platform on Sunday, Marian, as you know. It was just like a quick thing, and then suddenly she saw it and she was so enthusiastic to write to us and give us all her website and what she's doing, which I'm not going to talk about because I don't want to make the wrong, say the wrong things. And she's just going to tell us what she does for girls and for women. But before we go, I'll come back and then I'll make sure that we finish on a high note. Welcome, Michelle. Come and tell us what you do.
Yeah, I just want to say a big thank you to both you, Liliane, and Dr. Mariam, because this subject, for many women, I'm sure, is a very important subject. You know, I have two daughters, teenagers, so I know the hardship for teenage girls at the moment and how difficult it is. But just quickly, my background, I manage a charity in Cornwall, and we work a lot on European projects. So for many years, we've worked on different European projects. In my free time, I volunteer and teach netball to teenage girls. So I have about 50 girls that I coach in my free time as well, which is fantastic. But the reason I wanted to just talk to you guys about the work that we do in Point Europa in my organization, and it's just to share with you that we have a free resource. So I've just coordinated and managed a 2-year project, the link, and it was a 2-year project funded by the European Commission. And the aim of the project is to empower girls, but to go into leadership roles. So we had many years of talking with my partners. So we have partners from Romania, Bulgaria, the Netherlands, Greece, Spain. And we spent a lot of time talking about girls going into work roles and employment when they're older. And we just felt, by speaking to some of the girls, that they were putting themselves down by saying, oh, you know, maybe in the future I would like to do this job or like to do that job, or they never saw themselves as being the manager or the director or owning or running their own business. It was just that they would get a job and work, you know. So we wanted, you know, over the years we spoke to them and said, why don't you think you can be the director, or why don't you think you can run the business? So we developed this platform, and it's aimed at helping and providing girls with a bit of self-reflection on who they are at the moment and where they can see themselves, to go into leadership roles, but also to help them and give them a bit of resources to think about starting up their own social enterprise. So that was the aim. So there's different modules in the project. So I'll just quickly go through some of the modules so you have a bit of an idea what it is. So the first module in this completely free resource is Who Am I? So who am I? So there's lots of interactive quizzes, games to actually think about who I am at the moment and my personal development. The second one is, am I a leader? You know, where am I going? Where do I want to go in my future? And communication, how do I get myself heard? And it was interesting because part of one of the modules is about assertiveness, not aggressiveness. So having that is really difficult, fine line between assertiveness and aggressiveness, but there's a module in there. There's some videos to watch. I think there's about 6 videos of women in leadership roles or that have their own businesses that talk about themselves and their backgrounds. One of the other modules is, can I solve problems? And the last one, which I think is best, and it's only because I wrote it, but anyway, it's becoming the best. So it's interpersonal skills, but just becoming the best version of yourself. So it's not about comparing yourself to others, but just the journey through the platform of, like I said at the start, who am I, trying to understand who you are as a person, and then trying to become the best version of yourself that you can be. So yeah, I'm very proud of it. The project's, like I said, it's been 2 years in the making, with input from partners all around Europe and girls all around Europe who have contributed to help us make it. But I'm just hoping, it is being used at the moment, but I'm just hoping that it will be a good resource, because it's free as well, you know.
Amazing. It's just, are you gonna register to the club of Girls to Women?
Absolutely. And I was just thinking, it's just so such an important subject, really is. And I think, like you said, Dr. Marion, it doesn't matter how old you are. No. It doesn't matter how old you are. You always, at some point, you can be the most confident, person. No, but it doesn't matter. There's that one time where you're out of your comfort zone, or something, and you just doubt yourself. There's always the doubt, and it's, as you get older, I suppose it is a bit easier to not necessarily worry as much what people think, but that comes with age and experience and things. So I think if there's any way of helping girls coming through to become more, not I don't like the word confident, but just to be aware of who they are. And I think, like you've said before, it doesn't matter who you are, everyone is special. And I think it's difficult, especially for teenage girls, to see their strengths, to understand their strengths and see how important they are. I mean, I just for an example, when I haven't been coaching netball, obviously, with the pandemic, but before this was last year, we had a talk about just general things while they were playing netball. And one of the girls turned around to me and was not feeling great, didn't have much self-worth or, body image, all these things that go with it. And I just said to her, I said, okay, so I said, think of a friend, just quickly think of a friend, and you describe to me what you think of her. And of course, the first things that came out of her mouth was, she's really kind, she's really funny, she's this. And I said, not once did you mention what hair color she had, what size she was. I said, you never said about her visual look. You described the person inside. And I said, that's the most important thing, is trying to see yourself. So when people think of you, what do they think? They think of you as a person and not what you look like. So if you try to describe somebody, it's more likely to be the person inside than the visual aspect. And I think that was the sort of, it's hard, it's easier as you get older to try and to see it and to try and teach it. But no, I think this is absolutely fantastic, and I'm just really excited now because, like I said, I have a lot of girls, especially teenage girls, that I'm surrounded by most of the time, and I want to sign them up and to get them involved, definitely.
Definitely, we will welcome them with love
Yes, I know.
and patience. Something that I know that is very key, and I find it in so many girls who have come to me, is that they just want that patience to allow them to undo what they think they were, and then to redo who they are and where they go. I don't know if I said it right, but we have to be patient. And I'm aware of the time. We say we're going to finish.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really, Michelle, I think there is an exciting time coming up.
Yeah.
A project within DBI. DBI is here in Plymouth, and you are not far. You are in Como. So we're going to, and Dr. Marian, she's not far from us. She's in between Exeter and Plymouth. So that's so good. So she's not far from us. We can liaise. But we have opened up this forum for the world. So we have people who are joining us from Ghana, from Nigeria. I'm giving a shout out to them. And there are some of my girls that I saw in the comment, and I was so proud because one of them told me, she calls me mom. She said, Mom, I know that the world is waiting for you, and we can share you with everybody else. Because before it was like, you're mine, I don't want to share you, but now you can be shared with everybody. And I'm sure that even Dr. Marian will be shared with everybody. I know that this talk will be watched again, and I know that there is a girl who's going to watch it and find herself into whatever we said. And that is the purpose of what was for this live today, was for us to just show ourselves up and start this movement for girls to women, and to see how it's gonna go. We are going to be, as I say, I'm just gonna briefly say, we're going to be creating content or program each month for girls to sign up for, and women, so that we can have a talk, a conversation. And in the 3 months time, we're going to be organizing big conferences where we can have girls from all walk of life to come, and women as well, and be able to join us. So that is upcoming, and we're going to have, we're thinking within us, how are we going to hold this platform? So we are going to be creating e-clubs. So these clubs for girls to women gonna be e-ones. So we're gonna be electronic ones. So we cannot push away those girls who are in Africa, in America, and all over Europe. We can always be able to liaise with them. And then we have a last thing. We said, if there is a girl here who have thought Dr. Marian have said things that are really close to my heart, and I want to read some of her books. She have kindly offered a few copies of her books. She wrote The ABC of Emotions and ABC of Relationship. I've read both of them. So they're up on the screen. If you're watching, you see them. So if you write in the comment and you would like to receive one of those gifts, we're going to give 5 of those copies. But if you cannot receive them, the copies are on Amazon. You can go on Amazon and you can buy her book, and you will be even more refreshed to read what she has in her. It's amazing. I've read both of those books, and they're amazing. So that's, I think we are at the end of our program. Our social media are there. Our social media are there, up working, and we know that we're gonna keep interacting, telling you guys what we're doing and what the project is gonna be achieving. We just in early stage. It's the baby that just has been born to the world, so we have to give ourselves grace to let it start crawling and walking and learning all these things. But we believe that with people like Michelle, who just saw it and then came to us to say, no, I'm here, I'm behind, and I want to support you. And I know if there anybody who want to support this movement, please get in touch. We're giving a shout out to the boys from DBI who've been watching. I know that they sneaked into the club of girls to women, and they are watching with us. I'm giving a shout out to them, and I'll give a shout out. They have a program tomorrow, which is going to be on the platform as well, on DBI platform. It's going to be a virtual party. Everything nowadays is virtual, so they're going to be doing that tomorrow. I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank you, Dr. Marian, for giving up your time. She didn't just give her time here. She gives her time to me so that I can go, because it was like a push. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. She said, it is now. You have to go. So thank you very much for seeing something in me and for believing that together we can do it. Thank you to Michelle, who just came at the last minute and free her time on Saturday to come and be with us. I want to thank the girls. I have a of girls. If you see them, they're on my right, and they have all computers, and they're making sure that this show is running smoothly. I've never done this before, so I want to shout out to them. They've worked so hard. We've put up this thing in less than 2 weeks, and as you see, it's amazing. They've updone themselves, and I don't know how I will thank them, but I know they're in the club. And I know they're the next leaders. And I know they're going to achieve more than they think they will achieve, because they've done this and there is more to come. So I can't wait for you guys to meet them. But they have just take me over and be amazing. So thank you for Maya. Thank you for Tanya. Thank you for Cynthia. I just love you to bits, and I can't wait to see what you're gonna become. So thank you very much, Dr. Marian. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Michelle, for being with us. We keep in touch with you, and you have our emails, you have all the social media. Please share with the girls that you have, and we're gonna keep evolving. Yeah. Thank you very much. Any last word for Dr. Marian? Any last word for you to all the girls watching, Dr. Marian, before we go?
So sorry for me. No, I'm sorry. I didn't know if it was me or you when you were asking. No, absolutely. I've loved everything you said, Michelle. I'd love to connect with you. I might just email. That would be lovely. So, Liliane, you've absolutely outdone yourself, and well done. I know you've got a whole team behind you, so definitely to be applauded. You know, and it's never to despise the day of small beginnings. You know, so we started, and it's always the hardest bit. So now we'll just build the momentum, and we'll keep going, because I think this is awesome. It is. If we could just keep whatever forum we do it, like I love your ideas, the e-clubs, and doing different groups on different things. I think it's amazing, and well done to you, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and see you soon for the last one. Anything for you, Michelle? Anything you want to tell us before we leave?
No, just I think you said it, Dr. Marian. Just yeah, well done. It's so needed. It is so needed.
Well, yeah,
so needed. It's just fantastic, and I just I just hope, and I like you said, the young women that are behind Julie and working behind the scenes, you can see the potential. And I think that's the really important thing, is just helping any girls out there that need support or need help, just to become the best version of themselves they can. That's it.
Thank you. The best version of yourself. So before the next conference or next talk, be the best of yourself. That's the message. Be the best of yourself. Whatever you're doing, if you're at home, if you love to have your home well done, whatever you're doing, don't underestimate yourself. Be the best of yourself. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you for YouTube, for those on YouTube. Thank you for those on Instagram. Thank you for those on Facebook. We really appreciate you being here, saving your 2 hours on Saturday to be with us. Thank you. Until we meet again. I love you.
Love you.
Thank you. Bye.